Hi everyone, this is Mohan Kumar. Today I am going to discuss with you the topic construction management and entrepreneurship, that is 17CV61. So in the last offline classes we have discussed so many things in the first module. In that, the complete process of management we have discussed, and we have also discussed the construction project formulation, and we have discussed in the part of construction planning and scheduling up to work breakdown structure. So right now we will continue with the part that is Gantt chart, preparation of network diagram based on the event event and activity, and it's a critical path method, and concept of activity on arrow and activity on node. So before starting the Gantt chart, let us start with the some basic things. So in the earlier classes we have discussed what do you mean by planning and scheduling. Okay, so based on the definition of planning, we know the planning includes identification of activities, sequencing the activities, calculation of particular activities duration as well as its required resources. So in the scheduling, whatever the baseline plan, that should be put into calendar. This particular process of putting the baseline into the calendar, what we call scheduling, correct? So this particular scheduling can be classified into different types of according to the required for which it is done, such as material scheduling, equipment scheduling, financial scheduling, and other types. And this particular scheduling can be done by different methods depending on the size of the project. So the different methods are: scheduling can be done by means of Gantt charts and bar charts. It can be done by means of milestone charts, and it may be done by network analysis. So these are the three methods. Right now, let us discuss what exactly the Gantt chart and bar chart. So basically, the Gantt chart and bar charts were introduced by Henry Gantt and Frederick Taylor to popularize their graphical representations of work versus time in the early 1910s. Their Gantt charts were the basis for today's bar graph or bar charts. Taylor and Gantt's work was the first scientific consideration of work scheduling, although their work was originally aimed at production scheduling. It was readily accepted for planning and recording the progress of construction. Today, the bar graph remains an excellent graphical representation of activity because it is easy to read and understood by all levels of management and supervision. The big advantage of Gantt chart schedule is that they are very easy to understand and follow. That's because they can relate activities and their durations to calendar days. We can easily see and understand when an activity will begin and when it will end. Then, what are the disadvantages of this particular Gantt chart or bar chart? Yes, the biggest disadvantage to Gantt chart is they do not show the interrelationship among the activities. This is very essential thing. For example, Gantt charts are not very good at showing the impact that a delay in one activity might have on another activity or on the overall duration of the project. Gantt charts provide visual clarity. They are very good schedules for presenting the project timeline to the owner, end user groups, and the public. Such charts are easily understood and do a good job of identifying when things starts and when things end, which is what an owner is most interested in. Owners don't particularly care about the relationship between any activities. They are primarily concerned with when the job will be done and what will be the financial concerns. Next, so this is about Gantt chart. The figure shows bar chart. A bar chart consists of two ordinate axes as you are seeing in the figure. One representing the jobs or activities to be performed and the other representing the time elapsed. Each bar represents one specific job or activities of the project. The beginning and end of each bar represents the time of start and time of finish of the activity, and the length of each bar represents the time required for the completion of that particular job or activity. Here in the figure you can observe the horizontal axis, it is representing the particular time span, that is the particular activity which are given in the y-axis, that are procurement of cement, sand, steel or any materials uh, that falls from the January to first week of March. So it will be known that the particular activity of procurement of materials starts from January first week to ends with first week of March. So this is about bar chart, but there are certain limitation of bar charts, like they can be used only for small projects, because the large projects like infrastructure projects, they will be having thousands of different activities, so it is critical to use in such uh, infrastructure projects. And one more limitation is there, it does not show the interdependence between the various activities in the projects that we have discussed already. The next limitation, the progress of the works in the project cannot be monitored scientifically. Delays in the works cannot be detected, and it does not indicate the critical activities of the project. Yes, exactly. Based on the bar chart, we cannot consider where the exact critical path is running. It gives some idea about the physical progress of the projects, but the financial aspects involved is not known. Bar charts cannot be used as a controlling device by the project manager to take any timely action. Even though the bar chart is having several disadvantages, still it can be successfully used in the case of small projects where the number of activities are limited. However, when the projects become complex, it is very difficult to do the scheduling using this particular method. Moreover, monitoring of the project becomes difficult. So the next thing is milestone charts. So milestone chart is a modification over the original bar chart. So almost it is similar to the bar chart. Milestones are key events of a main activity represented by a bar. These are specific points in time which mark the completion of certain portion of the main activity. So these points are those which can be easily identified over the main bar. It is seen that when a particular activity represented by a bar on a bar chart is very long, means the activity is broken or subdivided into a number of sub activities. each one of which can be easily recognized during the progress of the projects. Controlling can be easily done and interrelationship between other similar activities can be easily established. The beginning and end of these subdivided activities or tasks are termed as milestones. Although there are certain limitations of milestones, though controlling can be better achieved with the help of milestone chart, still it possesses the same deficiency as the bar chart, that is, the interdependencies between the milestone is not shown. So here also there is no case of interdependencies or interrelated linkings. So the another limitation is there, that is within an activity the relationship between two specific milestones is revealed by milestone chart, but the relationship between and among milestone contained in different activities is not indicated. So this is about milestone chart. So the next thing, network analysis. Every project has definite start and finish. As we know, a project involves a distinct number of operations or activities. The term activity indicates any work. I repeat, the term activity indicates any work or job that it takes or that consumes time as well as cost to complete the project, successfully to complete the project. After determining the time of each activity, the activities are listed in the column with the duration of each activity together with the activities which immediately proceed and succeed the given activity. The interrelationship of each activity can be denoted by a network diagram or arrow diagram where each activity is represented by an arrow. Project is represented in the form of a network for the purpose of analytical treatment to get solutions for scheduling and controlling its activities. A network consists of a set of arcs which are connected meaningfully through a set of nodes. The precedence relationship among various activities of a project can be conveniently represented using a network. So, the collection of precedence relationship among various activities of a project is known as project network. So, there are two methods of representing any project in the network form. First one, AOA, that is activities on arrows, and the other one is activities on nodes diagrams. Shortly we can say AON diagram. So there are two methods of representing any project in the network form. First one AOA diagram and another one is AON diagram. But there are two types in networks, that are CPM networks and PERT networks. As you can see here, CPM is nothing but critical path method networks, and PERT means program evaluation review technique networks. So these are the main two types of networks. Let us see one by one. What do you mean by activity on arrow? Considering a simple project, for example, take it as construction of a small wall. It can be broken down into activities such as earthwork, brickwork, plastering, which should necessarily follow in that order or in that particular sequence. Let us further assume that these activities take 2, 6 and 2 days respectively, implying that the project can be completed in a total of 10 working days. Now, activity on arrow network representation of this project is given in the particular one figure 1.15. Here you can observe just observe this figure. This model, each activity, say you can say A, is defined in terms of two nodes, say I and J. So I indicates beginning event number and J indicates ending event numbers as per the figure 1.15a, that is activity on arrow notation. Okay. This, however, does not mean that I or J has any significance on the time scale. The starting and end timings of any activity need to be calculated separately. In the above example, I mean in the figure 1.15, the activities like excavation, brickwork, and plastering can thus be represented as 10, 10 to 11. I mean the particular earthwork starting from 10th to 11 node, and the brickwork brickwork between 11th to 12th node, and plastering work between 12th to 13th node respectively. When drawing such a network, it should be remembered that each activity has a unique pair. Thus, a representation of the form given in figure 1.15, where two activities have the same pair, is not valid. However, several activities can start at the same node or end at the same node as shown in figure, which are both valid representations. Further, it should be ensured that j greater than I and that arrows points towards j. The use of this particular arrows as activities seems to be the most intuitive when creating a simple network manually. There is, however, a need for providing dummy activities when the project contains group of two or more activities that have some but not all of their immediate predecessors in common. Also, if an activity has more than one predecessor and one or more of these predecessors is or are also a predecessor for some other activity or activities, then dummy activities are generally required to make the connections. So you can observe here in the figure 1.16, whatever the, as I told you, arrows are always represented just over the arrow. Okay, whatever the activity which is writing just over the arrow mark, but nodes are indicated whatever the circles which are showing in figure 1.16, that are the nodes. It means 10th, 11th, 12th, like that. So the arrow which is showing from 10 to 11, this is the correct format of writing the network. Okay, and then whatever the arrow mark which is in U shape connecting between 11th to 12th node, uh, this is not supposed to write like this. This is the incorrect format. And you can observe figure 1.17, several activities starting from node 1 and terminating at node 6. You can observe here the activities like A, B, C, which are starting from first node, are starting parallelly. So three activities are starting parallelly. You can observe D activity starting just after completion of activity A. okay, and connected to the and following the activity G, and activity E starting just after completion of activity B, and of course activity E follows the activity H. Similarly, activity F starting just completion of the activity C, I mean from the third node, and the activity F follows the I. So in the eighth node, it is going to terminate. The next thing is activity on node, that is AON. This type of network, the activities are denoted by circles or boxes called nodes, and the immediate predecessor relationship between the two activities is shown by an arrow connecting the two nodes. You can observe in the figure. Figure 1.19 illustrates a circle diagram for a 5 activity construction project. In the activity on node technique, notice that arrows are used to represent logic constraints only. Thus, all arrows act in the same manner as do dummies in the activity on arrow format. This feature has been found to make activity on node diagramming somewhat easier for beginners to understand. The network shown in figure 1.21 presents an example of activity on node network. It can be noticed that for the same number of activities and similar relationships, AON has not used a single dummy, while AOA has used two dummy activities, that is D1 and D2 in the figure 1.2. You can observe in the figure 1.2 the first dummy, that is D1, connecting between 50th and 60th node, and the other one D2, it is connecting between 70th and 80th node. People often compare AOA and AON and wonder which is the most convenient to use. The AOA most useful when creating a simple network manually, while AON is more convenient if the network is large, complex, and with many relationships. It is also much easier for setting up computation. And also AON is simple to draw and revise when compared to AOA, though computer programs can make this also a simple affair. So the next thing is features of network planning. So CPM and PERT networks are techniques of project management involving graphical and diagrammatic representation used as aid in planning, scheduling, and controlling of operation in a project. So these are the different following features of network planning. First one, interrelationship of all the operations is clearly shown. Then priorities are more rational, effective trade-off between time and cost is possible. It becomes easy for anyone to take over a partially completed project to become familiar with status and progress. When networks are employed, meaningful information can be supplied, improve predictive and problem solving features. So these are the different features of network planning. So the next thing is elements of network construction. The terminologies which are used in network construction are explained as follows. The basic elements of a project network are event and activity, You can observe in the figure whatever the text which is been written just over the node, that are the events, and whatever the arrow mark is there, that is indicates activity. So activity, in this particular diagram, activity represents excavate foundation, fix side boards, concrete foundation, and events are project started, foundation excavated, side board fixed. So you might have observed here. So always activities are permanent and events are temporary here. So what exactly the meaning of event? So what is the definition of event? An event or mode is denoted by a circle at the junction of arrows, as you are seeing in the figure 1.22. It is the beginning or end of the activity. It does not consume time, money, or any other resources. Example: trench excavated, concrete mixed, concrete cured, etc. An event has three basic properties. First one, an event is either the start of completion of an activity. An event represents a noteworthy, significant, and recognizable point in the project. Events act as control points in a project. And the third one, an event is an accomplishment occurring at an instantaneous point in time, but requiring no time or resources itself. An event must also satisfy the following requirement. A significant event must be positive, specific, tangible, meaningful to the project. It should be definitely distinguishable as a specific point in time. It should be readily understood by all concerned with the project. So, figure 1.23 represents events, different types of events. In a network diagram, events are represented by nodes. The shapes of this particular nodes may be circular, square, rectangular, oval, or any other regular geometrical, as shown in this particular figure. So the next thing, specifying the events. A particular amount of various events on the network diagram may be specified as tail event, head event, dual event. Dual role event. So then what do you mean by tail event? Tail event is the one which marks the beginning of an activity. If a particular tail event represents the commencement of the project, it is known as the initial event. It means ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಡೈಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಏನಿರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಕವೇಷನ್ ಇಂದ ನಮ್ದೊಂದು ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಏನು ಸಿಂಬಾಲಿಕ್ ತೋರಿಸ್ತೀನಿ ನಾನು. ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಫಿಗರ್ ಎ ಶೋಸ್ ಟೇಲ್ ಇವೆಂಟ್. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡು 5 ಅಂತ ಇದೆ. ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ದ ನಂಬರ್ ವಿಚ್ ಈಸ್ ರಿಟನ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಸರ್ಕಲ್, that is called node, and whatever the text which is written above the arrow, that is what activity name. Correct? So arrow mark ಏನು ತೋರಿಸಿದನಲ್ಲ, ಆ arrow mark ಸಿಂಬಾಲ್ ಏನಿದೆ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ವಾಟ್ ಹೆಡ್. ಅದರ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಫಿಫ್ತ್ ನೋಡಿಗೆ ಏನು ಅಟ್ಯಾಚ್ ಆಗಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ ಆ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಗೆ ಟೇಲ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ ನಾವು. ಓಕೆ. ಸೊ ಫಿಗರ್ ಬಿ ಶೋಸ್ ಇನಿಷಿಯಲ್ event. What is that? Initial event. And C shows tail event. Okay, that is tail event. You can observe here, figure A shows head event here. Head event is nothing but if all activities have an ending, that is again a specific point of time and is marked by an event, such an event is known as head event, because in a network diagram it is connected to the head or barbed end of an arrow. If a particular head event marks the completion of the project, it is known as the final event or end event. So the next one, dual role events. Actually, most of the events serve dual functions. That is, they are head event to some activity and tail event to the other activity. All events except initial and final events are dual role events. So the next thing is interrelationship between events. The completion of a project which has been split into a number of activities passes through a number of events. These events must occur at a definite time and in a particular sequence or order. In preparing event-oriented network diagram, one must think of the certain questions regarding the sequence of events. First one, what event or events must be completed before a particular event under consideration can be started. The second one, what event or events must follow the particular event under consideration. The third main question we should ask, what activities can be accomplished simultaneously. The order or sequence relates various events as successor events and predecessor events. Successor events ಅಂತಂತಂದರೆ ಒಂದು ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿದ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಬರೋ ಇವೆಂಟ್ ಅಥವಾ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಬರೋ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ. ಸೊ ಪ್ರಿಡಿಸೆಸರ್ ಇವೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ಪ್ರಿಡಿಸೆಸರ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ರೈಟ್ ನೋವು ಏನು ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಇರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ ಅದರ ಹಿಂದ್ಗಡೆ ಯಾವ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಇದೆ ಅಥವಾ ಇವೆಂಟ್ ಇದೆ, that is what predecessor events. So we just observe this figure 1.27. Events 2, 3, 4 and 5 are successor events to event 1. So what I told you, successor ಅಂತಂದರೆ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಫಾಲೋವಿಂಗ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸ್ ಅಂತ, ಫಾಲೋವಿಂಗ್ ಇವೆಂಟ್. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ, ಸೆಕೆಂಡು, ಥರ್ಡು ಮತ್ತು ಫೋರ್ತು ಆರ್ ದ ಸಕ್ಸಸರ್ ಇವೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಟು 1 ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಒನ್ ಇವೆಂಟ್ ಏನದ, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಇವೆಂಟ್ ಏನದಲ್ಲ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್, ಥರ್ಡು, ಫೋರ್ತ್ ಇವೆಂಟ್ನ ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಮೀನಿಂಗು. ಸೊ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ಯು ಸಿ ಇವೆಂಟ್ಸ್ 2, 3 ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ 4 ಆರ್ ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ ಸಕ್ಸಸರ್ ಇವೆಂಟ್ ಟು ಇವೆಂಟ್ 1. ಸೊ ಅಂದರೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಇವೆಂಟ್ ಆದ ನಂತರ ಇಮ್ಮಿಡಿಯೇಟಾಗಿ ಬರೋದು ಸೆಕೆಂಡು, ಥರ್ಡು ಮತ್ತು ಫೋರ್ತ್ ಇವೆಂಟು ಅಂತ. ಥರ್ಡ್ ಒನ್, event 5 is the immediate successor event to event 2, 3 and 4 each. So what I told, immediate successor events to ಅಂದರೆ ಫಿಫ್ತ್ ಇವೆಂಟ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಅದು ಇಮ್ಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡು, ಥರ್ಡು, ಫೋರ್ತ್ ಆದಮೇಲೆ ಇಮ್ಮಿಡಿಯೇಟಾಗಿ ಬರೋದೇ ಫಿಫ್ತ್ ಒನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವರು. ಸೊ ಇವೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್, ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್, ಥರ್ಡ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಫೋರ್ತ್ ಆರ್ ಪ್ರೆಡಿಸೆಸರ್ ಇವೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಟು ಇವೆಂಟ್ 5. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನೇ ಉಲ್ಟಾ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಈಗ. ಪ್ರೆಡಿಸೆಸರ್ ಅಂದೇನು, ಹಿಂದ್ಗಡೆಯದು ಅಂತ, ಸಕ್ಸೆಸರ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಮುಂದ್ಗಡೆಯದು. ಸೊ ಫಿಫ್ತ್ ಇವೆಂಟ್ ಏನಂತಿರ್ತಿದ್ದೆ ನಾವು, ಥರ್ಡ್ ಒನ್, ಇವೆಂಟ್ 5 ಈಸ್ ದ ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ ಸಕ್ಸೆಸರ್ events to event 2, 3 and 4 each. Event 1, 2, 3 and 4th are predecessor events to event 5. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತಿರೋದು. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್, ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಒನ್, ಥರ್ಡ್ ಒನ್, ಫೋರ್ತ್ ಒನ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಪ್ರೆಡಿಸೆಸರ್ ಟು ಫಿಫ್ತ್ ಒನ್ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸರ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅವನು. ಓಕೆ, ಯು ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ದ ಫೋರ್ತ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್. ಇವೆಂಟ್ಸ್ 1, 2, 3 ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ 4 ಆರ್ ಪ್ರಿಡಿಸಿಸರ್ ಇವೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಟು ಇವೆಂಟ್ 5 ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಅವನು. ಓನ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಿಡಿಸಿಸರ್ ಇವೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾನೆ. ಸೊ ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ ಪ್ರಿಡಿಸಿಸರ್ ಯಾವುದು ಫಿಫ್ತಕ್ಕೆ? ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್, ಥರ್ಡ್, ಫೋರ್ತ್ ಮಾತ್ರ. ಬರೀ ಪ್ರಿಡಿಸಿಸರ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್, ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್, ಥರ್ಡ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಫೋರ್ತ್. ಸೊ ಫಿಫ್ತ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್, ಇವೆಂಟ್ಸ್ 2, 3 ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ 4 ಆರ್ ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ ಪ್ರಿಡಿಸಿಸರ್ ಇವೆಂಟ್ ಟು ಇವೆಂಟ್ 5. ಸೊ ಈ ಪಾಯಿಂಟಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾನು, ಎಕ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ 1, ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್, ಥರ್ಡ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಫೋರ್ತ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ predecessor event to fifth one. In the sixth one, event 1 is immediate predecessor event to event 2, 3 ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ 4. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನೇ ವೈಸ್ ವರ್ಸ ಆಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಅವನು. ಅಂದರೆ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್, ಥರ್ಡ್, ಫೋರ್ತಕ್ಕೆ ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ ಪ್ರಿಡಿಸೆಸರ್ ಯಾವುದಿದೆ, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾನೆ. ಸೊ ದ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಒನ್, ಸೊ ಟಿಲ್ ನೌ we have seen what is the different events, what are the different events.